Hey everybody, it's me, Wendy. It's Thursday, and we're here on the Crooked House Herbal's Facebook page for Herbal Wisdom 101, Week 7. So before we get started, I'll give everybody a chance to jump on and get ready. And then we're going to talk about something kind of fun, near and dear to my heart. I forgot to turn off my phone. Sorry about that. So, before we get started though, I want to remind everybody who hasn't already registered that if you are interested in joining us for our first homeschooling workshop in April, it will be here at Restoration Ranch in Alpena, Arkansas, and it will be on, I do this every time, I forget to bring my calendar over here, April, it's a Friday. Hang on. Let me find it. Calendar. April. Seriously? This is not even in alphabetical order. Hold on a second. Let me just get my calendar. Hold on. Okay. Workshop number 1 is entitled Weeds and Wisdom, and it is the introduction to living with herbs. It's the baseline. It's what we're going to build the other 2 workshops on. Friday, April 21st from 10 to 2:30. There's a 30-minute break time there, so if you want to bring a sack lunch or some snacks, we will be taking a break. Use the restroom, have a little snacks, talk about what we've been learning. We'll have a really good hands-on opportunity. The kids will be making their own tinctures and oils. It's going to be fun. We're going to learn a lot. A lot. It's going to be jam-packed. And the workbook for it is called Weeds and Wisdom, Introduction to Living with Herbs. And you can find this on Amazon. It's $14.99. And you can just order it from Amazon so you have it and you're ready to go on the day of the workshop. You need to go to crookedhouseherbals.com, click on Workshops and Learning, and go and actually put that workshop in your cart and pay for it, then you're registered. If you don't do that, then I don't have your email address and I don't have any way of contacting you with further information like, you know, what to wear and directions and how to get here and that kind of stuff. So you need to register online for the workshop. Good? Okay. That's really the only other announcement I have. Oh, and also last week I talked to you about dead nettle. We talked about, this is one of our little springtime tonic herbs that's coming up right now, and it's really, really good for allergies and blood cleansing. You see how cute it is? So I don't know if you can see the stem, but you can see that the stem is actually square. And that's one way you can identify it. And then its leaves come down from the top. Remember I told you, sorry, my cat's in here. They come down from the top. The difference between dead nettle and henbit is that henbit, I don't think this is henbit, I think this is, I don't know. The leaves are not all together like this with henbit, and they're in clumps. So you have a few leaves right here, and then you'll have a piece of stem, and then you'll have a few more leaves, and then you'll have a piece of stem. Just let me go put the cat in the other room. Be right back. Lucy, come on. You can't play with my pen. You're making too much noise. Go on outside. Go on, up. She loves to play with a pen. Can occupy her for hours. So, dead nettle. You should find this everywhere right now. And this is a really good one. We talked about how you can dry it, make a tea with it. You could make a salve with it. Or if you're on a hike or something and you get stung by something or bit by something, you can literally just take the leaves off this, chew them a little bit, and rub them right on there. It's good in salads. This is a spring tonic herb. Blood cleansing. Helps with histamines, for allergies, antihistamine. So look for it. It's a cute little thing. I've got it everywhere. It's really pretty. It's like a carpet. Okay, so let's get started. I didn't have a lot of questions come in so far. If you do have questions, go to the Crooked House Herbals Facebook page and use the messenger for that Facebook page, and go ahead and message me. I've got my computer on and I can take your questions as they come in. All right. But tonight I wanted to talk to you about something that I think is very timely and I think that everybody can benefit from, and that is sprouting. Some people go, what? Sprouting? Sprouting is a very, 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 very old technique. But I'm telling you, today with the monetary crunch that we're under and as expensive as food is, and how it's so hard to find good food. It's hard to find food that is worth eating, that's not tainted with pollutants in the soil or pesticides or genetically modified. I mean, you don't know really what you're eating. You just kind of have to pray over it and eat it because you just don't really know. But there is an answer if you're up for it. Sprouts. It's really economical and it's a lot of bang for your buck. A lot of nutrition in a little seed. And it's not something that people talk about much, and I guess it's because you have to do it. It's not something some stores sell sprouts, but I don't know how old they are or how good they are, but it is super easy to do. And I just wanted to give you some good information on sprouting, because I think some of you may grab this and run with it, and I recommend it. I just got excited just putting this stuff together tonight, and I was like, I'm going to start me some sprouts. I've been waiting for it to warm up just a little bit because it's still kind of cold, and I have a little greenhouse on my porch, and I wanted to go ahead and set it up out there, but I may just go ahead and start them in the house. It's easy. You can, if you've got a kitchen window or if you've got space on your counter, you can sprout. You don't have to have a fancy setup, and I'll talk to you about that in a minute. But let's just get started with it. Anne Wigmore is the sprouting queen. And she has a very helpful little book called The Sprouting Book. It's an old book, been around for a long time. Her name is Anne Wigmore. I recommend you get online or get a copy of this. You probably have to get it used. I don't even know if it's in print anymore. This is a really good book, and it breaks everything down for you. It's a good resource, good reference book. Because, one thing I've learned, and this is the reason that I created the online class that I have on my website. I have an online class that is literally almost 8 hours of instruction, and it's got tutorials, it's got a manual that you can download, it's got lifetime access to the videos, because one thing you're going to learn, once you start on this journey of exploring and living with herbs, it's way more than you can absorb and digest in even a year. You need to be able to have resources like my online class, the one that you can purchase, or books like this that you can go back to at different times in your life and go, okay, I remember I saw this somewhere. I'm ready for this information now. I need to look this up, and have a good solid resource that you can go back to and go back to and go back to. It's kind of like reading the Bible. It's different every time you read it because it applies to different areas of your life. So it's the same way with this kind of information. Hang on to it and, collect some good resources up so that you can go back when you need to and revisit that information when you're ready to really absorb it and use it. But she's got this book, and in it she discusses the history of various ways of sprouting and the way sprouts have been used not just for nutrition or whatever, but for medicine. Some of the sprouts that she talks about are literally older than the Bible. Ancient. The Chinese have been using sprouts since at least 3000 BC, according to Anne. They were eating bean sprouts on a regular basis, and that's still a real staple. If you go to a Chinese restaurant, you're going to get bean sprouts in your food and bamboo shoots and those kinds of things. But bean sprouts are really very, very healthy. The emperor at that time recorded all kinds of effects from eating bean sprouts, including cures for like diverse problems, bloating, loss of nerve sensation. People were not being able to feel in their hands and feet, and then they started eating the sprouts, and it was curing that. It was reversing it. Muscle cramps, digestive disorders, weakness of the lungs. All of these things were recorded way back then as being reversed as a result of eating sprouts. In later studies, it was found that sprouts helped in reducing inflammation. They can act as a laxative depending on which kind you're eating. Dropsy, rheumatism. They can build and tone your body. The Chinese and the Far Eastern peoples still use mung, soy, adzuki, wheat, barley for sprouting in their daily diet. And the Japanese eat quite a bit of sprouts as well. I noticed that when I was over there. Different kinds, but they do sprout. The history of sprouting is actually really interesting. It makes sense when you think about it. After, really cold, long winters, your food stores are probably short. You don't have a lot of food supplies, and you've depleted all of your food. But you can still gain whole, good nutrition by sprouting, and you can sprout inside. It doesn't have to be something, I'm patiently waiting for it to get warm enough for me to go out and finish planting some of the things I want to plant in my garden. But I got to wait for the weather. But sprouts, you don't have to wait. You can do it today, tomorrow, over the weekend. You can start things, and in 3 or 4 days, you've got all kinds of nutritious, yummy stuff to eat. So it was really useful in times of drought, or crop failures. They could still sprout and they could still eat if they had seeds. So, it's a worthy endeavor. I would challenge you to explore it because I think you're going to really be happy. Sprouting can fill some of the needs in our lives today as we search for foods that are non-GMO or polluted with pesticides, or the soil is gross, the water is gross. You just don't know. I mean, a lot of times you don't know where this stuff is coming from. I'm really leery about strawberries half the time because I don't know what they've been grown in, especially if they come from Mexico. I mean, I've heard stories and I'm not sure. So last weekend, I have a hill outside my office window on the outside of my house. I planted 20 strawberry plants out there. I'm hoping that they'll take, and I'll have nice strawberries in the upcoming years. I probably won't have any this year, but maybe, you never know. It's also really a really good thing to do because there's no additives. I mean, think about it. You don't have to worry about what's processed, what isn't processed. There is nothing added to sprouts. It's totally good food, and your organs will love you. Your liver will love you. Your kidneys will love you. They'll cleanse your blood. They'll do so many things, and you don't, it's a one-stop shopping for good, nutritious health. They taste good. You can mix and match. You can add them all together and eat them. I like to eat, one of my favorite things is to have Ezekiel bread, the sprouted grain bread, and I put a little avocado on there, and then I put a pile of different types of sprouts and a slice of tomato, and oh my gosh, it's the best thing ever. So it may sound gross to some people, but it's really good. So again, open mind. All right. We all know that the foundation of living food concept, the living food concept, is the seed, filled with the nutrients that the plant needs to grow. It's all in the seed. So each seed holds vitamins and minerals and proteins and fats and carbs. I mean, it's all in there. And when the seed begins to sprout, this rush of energy goes out. And that's why there's chemical changes that occur and the enzymes are produced. And so when they just get just a little bit big is when you go ahead and eat them. So you get all of that good energy and all of those nutrients. Boom. They haven't been sitting on a shelf for 2 weeks at the store, if you're lucky, after, a 3-week truck ride from somewhere. I mean, our produce it's pretty sad. Unless you can get it from a farmer's market in a locally grown, situation. There's not a lot of nutrition in our food right now. So this is a way to fortify. And you know what? My animals love sprouts. My dog, when I sprout sunflower seeds, she sneaks and goes and pulls them up and sneaks and eats them. She loves them so much. Come, Andy, come here. Come here. Hey, come here. Come on. Come here. You want out? Just a minute. Okay, I should have taken care of that before. I didn't realize they were both in here. Okay, so they absorb the minerals and the trace minerals and the elements from the soil or the water or whatever they're growing in. So for this reason, I would recommend that you don't use distilled water to wash your seeds in and to mist them and stuff like that. You want to go ahead and I'm going to talk to you about show you some different ways and techniques to sprout. But if you're doing it in containers like I'm going to show you, most of the time you're just going to be dealing with water. And so you're going to need if you've got good well water, use that. If you've got spring water, use that. Use a different kind of water than the distilled water because distilled water is empty. It doesn't have anything in it. So it won't pull as many good things from that water because there has no water. I mean, the nutrients are in the seed, but still, as long as you don't have a really high iron content or something like that in your water, I would recommend using well water or, something like that. I'm not going to use my tap water because I don't have a well. I have something weird. It's like an association. I mean, like a community water thing. And I'm not really sure what's in that water. So I, distill all my water for drinking and everything, but I will use spring water to sprout. And that's okay with me. I don't mind. Now, okay, as the sprouts continue and the sprouting process continues, the carbohydrates are transformed by the action of the enzymes into simple sugars. The proteins are converted into more simple amino acids, and fats are changed into fatty acids, so which are easily digested, soluble compounds. Okay, so everything is broken down and it's very simple. The vitamin C, well, there's a lot of vitamin C in almost all the sprouts, but for one, it is way increased in sprouts. It becomes exponentially more when you sprout. They absorb the minerals, like I said, and the trace elements from the water, so use a good water. And the minerals in the sprouts are chelated. So I don't know if you know what that means, but it means they're broken down. And so they go into their natural state. They're chemically bound to the amino acids that are in the seeds themselves, and they are easily assimilated by the body. So it's actually really a cool process. It's amazing. And I think once you start sprouting, you're gonna be hooked. It's really fun. And it's so yummy. Enzymes are activated immediately in the sprouting process. Immediately. As soon as you put your seeds to soak. What you do when you sprout, and we'll go through the process, the complete process after I tell you a little bit about stuff. You're going to soak your seeds, usually for at least 8 hours, sometimes maybe 4 or 5. It depends on the seed. Then you drain it, and you wash it, and you put it into its container, whatever, however you're going to sprout, and you're off. That's all you do. So the germinating process basically is your soaking time. Okay. So sprouts are a living food, and I'm convinced that a truckload of cooked food can do nothing for the healing and regeneration properties and the benefits that our body gets from one sprouted seed. I mean, there's so much more in sprouts than any cooked food you could eat. I mean, think about it. Okay? Cooked food's dead food to begin with. Could you plant a loaf of bread out in your yard and have it grow? I mean, it's got wheat in it, right? Is it going to grow? No. It's been processed and cooked. How about frozen vegetables? Can you plant them in your yard and have them grow? Mm-mm. What about a pot of cooked beans? Can you put them out there and have them sprout and grow? No. Anything that's cooked is already dead. So you're not going to get any of the sprouting nutritional value at all from them. I'm not saying don't eat cooked food. I'm just saying that if you really want nutrition, you should include sprouts in your diet, because you can offset a lot of what you don't get from the other food that you eat by just eating some sprouts every day. You'd be amazed. Okay, let's talk protein. Plant proteins are the highest quality proteins available, and sprouts are loaded with them. They are easily used by the body. You know, we've talked about this several times about your body can receive things, but it doesn't necessarily assimilate them. So then it becomes body trash. It's just in your body, clogging up things, making you hurt, making your joints swell. But plant proteins are very easily assimilated by the body and used. They're low in fat, and they don't have any saturated fats or cholesterol. So, again, all of the things that you kind of have to watch for and be aware of and avoid with animal type foods, you don't have any of those issues with plant proteins. You contrast the plant proteins with animal proteins, and you do have the other worrisome factors, like the wrong kind of fat, and the fact that your body doesn't assimilate animal proteins as well. So you have waste. You have a lot of waste that's being produced, toxic waste that's produced in your body. If you eat sprouted grains, and seeds and that kind of stuff, you have no waste. It's all used. It's a win-win. Okay, let's take a look at a few of my favorites. This book has got pages and pages of different types of sprouts, and it shows you what they look like, and it shows you what they've got in them, what they provide for you. I just chose the ones that are my favorites, but you know, there's plenty of other choices. It also gives you your setups, what you need, how many sprouts to use, you know, what kind of measurements to use for your different sprouting mediums, and, you know, how long to sprout them, when to harvest. I'm telling you, it doesn't take long. And there's a whole section on growing greens indoors. Most of the time they're under a cover, so you don't have to have a window. You don't have to have a grow light. You don't have to have hardly anything. And I'm going to show you the tools that I use. You know, I have learned to be very resourceful. I have a few of the traditional ways, but then there's lots of other ways you can sprout. You don't have to do, if you don't have the means or the money to get a sprouting lid or buy sprouting trays or, you know, some of the other things, I'll show you what you can do, because this is the way I roll. Okay, among sprouts, lentils are probably the richest source of high quality protein that you can get. 7 cups of sprouted lentils contain approximately 58 grams of protein. That's way more than the USDA recommends for an adult male. So, and 7 cups of sprouts isn't really a lot. It's like a salad bowl, you know. I mean, throughout the day, you could easily eat 7 cups of lentil sprouts on whatever and in whatever. You know, you don't have to eat them all at once. But there's 58 grams of completely assimilatable protein with no waste. And no fat. Think about it. So, we need the 8 essential amino acids that are found in complete proteins. That's what we have to have in our bodies in order to rebuild cells. That's the way we're designed. The amino acids are our cell builders. So, they're very important to many bodily functions and systems. Impossible to list all of the things that amino acids do right now. I can't even, that's a whole nother thing. But just know that you need those 8 amino acids. Something interesting to note, and this is, you know, again, I'm trying to help you learn to figure out your own health issues and why certain things are the way they are in your body, what makes your body tick. But just think about this. The deficiency, having a deficiency in just one of those 8 amino acids can result in allergies, low energy levels, poor digestion, lowered resistance, premature aging. Just one. So replacing that amino acid, putting it back into your bodies will reverse that. Nice, huh? Okay. The first one that I wanted to tell you about is azuki beans. They contain amino acids, vitamin C, iron. They have a real mild flavor. And you can get really creative with these guys. Now, hold on one second. I have my little container, my box. And in here, I have some. I'm going to show you. Oh, here we are. Okay. These are azuki beans. A-D-Z-U-K-I. This is one of the old-time ancient Chinese ones that they used to do a lot of. And they look like this. I don't know if you can see. Can you see that? Okay, little red beans that are now all over the floor. But you would take these and you would soak them, and then you would start the sprouting process. So that little book I told you about can give you all the details on the beans, how much to use at one time, and when to harvest them. You know, some of the beans, some of the sprouts, you don't want to go too long because they get mushy, and then once they get mushy, they rot. They're gross. They're chicken food. And by the way, the animals love sprouts, and it's a great way to augment your dog food and the feed, you know, the different animal feeds that we're being forced to buy. I mean, I used to make my own dog food until I ended up with 3 dogs. And one of them is a Great Pyrenees. So I could spend all day making dog food if that's, you know, I don't have time. So I've gone to having to go back, and as hard as I try to find nutritional dog food, I know that my dogs are lacking. And I also get concerned that they're getting stuff that's going to end up making them sick. So, but they love sprouts. And sprouts are cheap and easy, and something you can just always keep going. And when you feed them in the morning, you could give them a big handful of sprouts on top of their food, and they're going to love it. The cats love it. Everybody loves it. It's a win-win. So, azuki beans. The next one, that's another one of my favorites and probably one of my staples. I probably do more of these than just about anything, is alfalfa. Alfalfa is a superfood. Any of you guys that have done much in that department as far as, you know, researching superfoods and stuff, alfalfa is definitely one of them. It's a very, very, very small seed. I don't know if I have any that I can open for you, but I have some. This is a package of them that I've purchased, and I can open them up. But this is how tiny alfalfa seeds are. Really small. And of course, they'll puff up a little bit when you soak them, but not that much. So when you do alfalfa, I'll tell you how I do it. You might want to choose a different method with the alfalfa than with some of your others. But here's just some of the, I mean, huge punch. They are actually a legume. I don't know if you know that, but they are. And pound for pound, they're one of the most nutritious foods you can eat. The roots of mature alfalfa plants can reach several feet down into the soil, collecting hard-to-find trace elements as they go. That's one reason that farmers like to plant alfalfa, because they go so far down into the dirt and into the ground, and they pull up all these trace, and they actually amend the soil. So they keep all of that stuff in the, you know, they pull it all up, and you can work it all through, and all these trace minerals and things that are really far down that you don't normally get to, the alfalfa will pull it up. Okay, alfalfa sprouts are a good source of B-complex vitamins, along with vitamins A, C, E, and K. They also contain calcium, magnesium, potassium, iron, and the trace minerals selenium and zinc. Superfood. Really, really good. Okay, almonds. Almonds are another one. Of all the nuts, almonds are one of the easiest to digest, especially after 24 or 48 hours of sprouting. Now, pumpkin seeds, almonds, those kinds of things, they don't actually really sprout. They just kind of, they go, I mean, they sort of puff up and get different, but they don't actually, I mean, I guess they could go long enough where you could actually get a sprout from them eventually, but most of the time you consume them before they get to that stage. They're an excellent source of protein, calcium, potassium, phosphorus, magnesium, and fats. In addition, they contain B vitamins and vitamin E. Sprouted almonds have a crunchy texture. They're great in salads, dressings, beverages, yogurt, cheeses. Okay? So, but when you sprout them, it's kind of like I told you last week about garlic. When you smash garlic is when you release the allicin in garlic, which is the antibiotic property. It's the healing property. It's what does all the work. Okay, is this property called allicin in garlic. And if you don't smash it and release it, then you're not getting the benefit from it. So with almonds, when you want to sprout almonds, you get all of these other benefits. And, you know, I don't know. I would be really interested, and I would like to hear what some of you guys do with sprouted almonds, because they're really kind of fun. The pumpkin seeds are too. Okay, fenugreek is, ooh, I think I have some fenugreek in here. Right here. All right, this is fenugreek. I don't know if you can see it. Has an interesting smell. Not a bad smell necessarily, it's just different. I don't know if you can see this. I can't really show it to you. Well, I got these seeds, these fenugreek seeds, from Whole Foods before I moved up here. But you can pretty much order any sprouting seeds you want online. I would definitely make sure you get organic ones, non-GMO. But when you're sprouting, make sure what you go through and you look at them, and don't include any in the batch that are obviously broken, like open, because they won't sprout and they'll contribute to rotting. You know, that whole batch might go bad. So try to make sure you've got good ones in there. Sometimes it's not possible, but do your best. Okay, so fenugreek, a small seed with a light tan color, pleasant herb-like smell. It has a nice smell. It's, I don't know, Middle Eastern-y smelling, I guess. A valuable blood and kidney cleanser. Has a pungent flavor and is an excellent source of phosphorus and iron. It contains a number of trace elements as well, and it's best sprouted with other seeds to mellow the flavor. So you might take these and some alfalfa and put them together, or broccoli, or radishes are yummy too. Radish seeds. Okay, lentils. The thing with lentils is you only want to use the green lentils, because the red have already been hulled when they were harvested and they won't sprout. Okay, so make sure you get green lentils, and they are rich in protein, iron, vitamin C, really rich in all three of those things. They're good for salads. They're good to make like sprouted bread, loaves of bread. They're good in green drinks. I love lentils. They have a really mild flavor, so they kind of just take on the flavor of whatever else they're with. So they're really great. I love to cook with them. I like to make lentil everything. And they're a legume, but they don't treat you don't get a lot of gas and stuff from them. They're good. I love lentils. Very good protein source. Okay, pumpkin seeds. High quality protein as well as fat, vitamin E, phosphorus, iron, and zinc. They do not require long sprouting times, best when eaten about 24 hours after sprouting. They're fun to play with too, the pumpkin seeds. Okay, my personal favorite is the black oil sunflower seed. And you can get big bags of this stuff. You can get it at the tractor store or the feed store. I buy black oil sunflower seeds and I mix it in with my chicken food. So just get a bag of sunflower seeds. The black oil ones are the ones I like. And I sprout them a little differently. You can do them in a sprouting jar. I like to put them out in a tray. I'll talk to you about that in a second. But they are high in protein, fats, B complex vitamins, vitamin E, calcium, iron, phosphorus, and magnesium. And they're delicious. They're my dog's favorite. She loves the sunflower seed sprouts. For the longest time, I had a wood stove in my other house, and I put this tray of sunflower sprouts on, just there because it was in between two windows and it was a good spot for it. Well, every time I'd walk by it, I'd find all this dirt on the floor, and it was like, what the heck? What's going on with this? And then I realized there were little pieces of sprouts down there too. And she was reaching up and grabbing those sprouts out of that tray. This is one, the sunflower sprouts are one that, like I said, you can do it in a jar with no dirt, but they were one that I did in a dirt tray. I was playing around with it, but I kind of like it that way better. As long as we're talking about that, I'll go ahead and talk to you about that. Oh, and the last one that I highly recommend you do is wheat. Get yourself some wheat berries. I've also got some broccoli seeds here. I don't know if you can see them. See how tiny they are? Very small. Radishes are another one that's good. But the wheatgrass is amazing. You could live on wheatgrass. If you didn't have any other food, you could totally live on it. It's an excellent source of protein. Magnesium, phosphorus, B complex vitamins, vitamin E. It also has some energy producing carbs. And I have a little hand crank auger type. It's a plastic one. Wheatgrass juicer. And so I cut my wheatgrass. You can get 2 batches usually out of one tray of wheatgrass, and run it through my juicer and do wheatgrass shots or add it to my green drinks. You will immediately feel different. Immediately. So wheatgrass should be on your list of things to sprout and do. Again, all of these things can be done in your house. You don't have to have a special setup. You don't have to have a greenhouse. You don't have to plant in the dirt. If you live in an apartment, you can sprout. If you live on a farm, you can sprout. Okay? Now, some of the tools that I use. The simplest way is with a sprouting jar. Okay? This one's got a screen sprouting lid. I like the screen ones. I think the water goes through them better, but you never know. Anyway, what you do is, according to what kind of sprouts you're doing, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter what you want to sprout. You can use a jar if you want to. Like I said, I sometimes would not, only because I had well water. And the well water was really high in iron. And if I didn't get them rinsed really well, my sprouts were soggy. They didn't drain well. And they kept too much of the iron and stuff in them. So I went to doing a couple different ways. But if you've got decent water, you can do anything in a jar. Okay, so you have this kind of a lid, or you have these come in like in a little 3-pack. These are plastic. They've got real tiny holes right here, and then a few little bigger ones here. These are sprouting lids. This one right here is a sprouting lid. So they'll come in all different shapes and sizes. This is another metal one. Okay. And what you do is you take your seeds, and I usually just use the same jar. Some people put them in a bowl or whatever, but I just usually use the jar that I'm going to sprout in. And you're going to put, like if I use this one for alfalfa, I would cover the bottom. It's probably going to be about, I don't know, maybe 4 tablespoons of alfalfa seeds in here. And then I would cover them with water over this, you know, a good amount of water over the seeds, about 3 times as many. You know, if your seeds come up to here, then go about 3 times higher with water, and you would soak it overnight. Then in the morning, you drain all the water out, make sure it's good and out. You rinse, you add water in, and you rinse them real good again and drain it out. And then you're going to set your jar at a 45-degree angle. I use my dish drainer. I just stick it in my dish drainer. And then I throw a little wash rag over it, or a little dish towel or something. So it's in the dark. You want it to be in the dark until the sprouts start sprouting. So you see a significant amount of sprouts in there, and then you can take the rag off. So then that's a morning routine, and then in the afternoon or evening, you do it again. Now, if your house is kind of cool, I would recommend rinsing them before, you know, like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Rinse them so they can get good and drained. And then you set it back in the drainer. Cover it back up. That's all you do. So in probably 2 days, you'll start seeing the sprouts for alfalfa. And then pretty soon, with 4 or 5 tablespoons of sprouts in here, this whole jar will be filled. So you continue to rinse it for probably 4 days, maybe 5, depending on what's going on. And then they should be fully sprouted, and you will have taken off the rag, so they'll start producing their chlorophyll, and they'll start turning real green and, you know, dark green and everything. When you're satisfied with the way they taste and the way they are, then you can put them in an airtight container and stick them in the fridge. And they'll stay for a week or so in the fridge. So you kind of have to get yourself a little routine of, you know, starting your sprouts on a certain day, so you always have some. But once you get into that routine, it's not a big deal. I mean, you can always have a little jar of sprouts growing somewhere. So that's sprouting in a jar, and it's pretty easy. Like I said, you don't have to have a lot of room, and you don't have to have an outside if you live in an apartment, or if you live in a facility, or if you live, you know, in someplace where you don't have your own dirt. You can still have good food. Okay, another thing that I have used in the past are containers like this. You know, I think I got this one from Walmart. I don't know, somewhere. But you see how it is? This would be perfect for wheatgrass. So what I would do is, I like to grow my wheatgrass with a little bit of dirt, only because after I've done 2 cuttings, I have a clump of sod. So then I take my clump of sod outside and I stick it down in a place that needs something. It's just dirt or whatever. And I stick it down in there and let it grow. And I've got wheat growing. So you don't have to do that. Like I said, you can grow it in a jar. But wheatgrass, you'll notice, needs to be able to grow flat. So if you're not going to use the dirt, I would still recommend using something flat like this, or what I've used to use in the past, and I'll probably will do again because I plan to do several trays of it, is, you know those black tubs with the yellow lids? You know how deep those yellow lids are? Well, I was using the tubs for something else. I think I had fish in them or something, and I didn't need the tops, so I took the yellow tops and I put just that much dirt. I mean, you don't need a lot. And it doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be special potting soil or anything. Just dig up some dirt, put about that much in the lid, and put your seeds on there. Spray them down, get it nice and damp, and then cover them with a, cover the lid with a towel, or if it's a small container like this, you could just put a paper towel over it, and then put this over it. Just the whole idea is to keep them in the dark for a few days. And then when you see the wheat sprouting, you can take the darkness off and you just mist them every day a little bit. Keep them moist, but don't drown them. Just keep them moist. And when the grass gets to be about this tall, which is 2.5, maybe 3 inches, you don't want to go too much more than that, or it starts to get bitter. So about 2 inches tall, take your scissors, trim it all, put it in a container. And like I said, I juice mine, but you can do whatever you want to with it. It's a complete food. You can put it in your blender and add it to your smoothies. It's very sweet. It has a really sweet taste. And so a little bit will do you. I like to mix it sometimes with pineapple juice, or if you've got some pineapple, you can throw in the blender with some water and then put your wheatgrass in there. It's really good. So, but that's all you do for wheatgrass. You just, again, it's maybe a 3 or 4 day thing. So you just kind of keep a tray going, have different stages if you want to constantly. But seriously, I promise you, if you do wheatgrass shots or whatever every morning, you're going to have so much energy. You're going to feel so good. You're going to wonder why you waited so long. I am kicking myself for not having started this before now. I've had a lot going on and I haven't really gotten into my personal routines very well, but I'm starting to, and this is one thing that's on the top of my list. These little guys are also good for sprouting. Same principle. You can put a paper towel in here and put your seeds in there, or you can put a little dirt if you want to, or whatever. But you can sprout in little things like this as well. No biggie. There's also this thing. You can tell I've tried everything. You can buy one of these jobs, which is a sprouting tower. And each little tray has holes in it all the way around for drainage. My only thing with this is like I had to put it outside because it drained out and it would get all over. Unless you set it in your sink. You could set it in your sink and just let the water drain out into your sink. And then pick it up and put it on a little tray or something. But you can stack your seeds. And then you water from the top. Wait a minute. Is this the bottom one? Yes. I think this is the bottom one. So it goes on the bottom and it doesn't have holes. It's a hard plastic. So it goes down here, catches the water. And these guys are all clear, so they get a little bit of light. And then you just line your seeds in here and water it. And pretty soon they start sprouting. It's actually really amazing when you think about it. But they just need water, basically. So give them good water and you'll have good seeds. And you could do, conceivably 3 different things in a tower like this. Personally, I like larger amounts, so I use jars usually or the trays. But I really challenge you to venture out into the world of sprouts because I think you're going to be surprised. And it's inexpensive. I mean, you can buy a bag. The other day I ordered a bag of, it's a salad mix. So it's got garbanzo beans, azuki. I think it's got might have some soy in there. Peas, green peas, and something else. All in the mix. So you can sprout them all together and you can have this nice little mix of greens and get a variety of, minerals and proteins and all that stuff from this mix, which you don't have to think about it. It's already done for you. I also ordered something else that I was really excited about getting, a different kind of seed. But you can literally order, but I ordered this bag. It's about, I don't know, probably 16 ounces, maybe 10 ounces. And that's going to last me a long time. And it was like $8. So you can get seeds really reasonable. Now, the company that I really liked, that I showed you, you know, in the Mylar bags, that company is called Seeds Now. And they do a lot of sprouting seeds and grains. And they're all organic. And I recommend them. There's a couple other ones on Amazon that do strictly organic, wild, you know, like very little handling and processing type things. And that's what you want. The less, the better. You don't want anybody processing your seeds that you want to sprout. But just type in seeds for sprouting and it'll pull up everything that's available at this time and you can get started. But I would definitely recommend alfalfa and lentils and sunflower seeds. And then do some other fun ones. Fenugreek is neat. Adds radish sprouts are delicious and they really add some zing to your salads. So give it a shot. And you know, this is a way that we can kind of sidestep some of the expense with trying to eat well and trying to get good nutrition from our food. Just sprout it in a jar at your house and bypass all of that. It's different. Not everything has to be cooked, you know. And like I said, you can get a loaf of really good Ezekiel bread or sprouted grain tortillas and you know, or romaine lettuce and make wraps and use sprouts and good veggies and, you know, just put sprouts in your diet and you will be amazed at how much better you feel. So, on that note, it's time to say goodbye. And I do apologize for all of my craziness when we started off with my animals. I didn't realize they were both in here. And I have animals. They're my kids. I want to remind you again about registering for the homeschooling class. It is going to be so fun. The workshop is going to be really a fun day. And I'm encouraging you to register now early because I'm not going to be able to take, you know, there will be a limit on how many I can take. Now, if I end up going, you know, if I just have an overwhelming response and there's so many people that want to take it, then I may add a day. I may add a Thursday or something like that where we can do an overflow workshop. But right now it's Friday, April, what did I say? 21st, 24th. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I can never remember this. I don't know why. Friday, April 21st. Is that somebody's birthday or something? Some way I can remember that. Friday, April 21st. It's the day before my granddaughter's birthday. I can remember that. 10 to 2:30, and I need you to register because I need to be able to communicate with you via email and give you directions and stuff like that, preliminary things that we need to do. And again, the workbook is called Weeds and Wisdom. Introduction to Living with Herbs by Wendy Fargo. You can get it on Amazon, and it will have all of the work pages, along with all of the herbs that we're going to be just talking about and exploring, and hopefully a lot of my stuff will be up. The weather is doing weird things, so I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure by April we'll be good to go, though. And the illustrations are adorable in this book. They're done by Amanda Pascal. She is an amazing illustrator. She does a lot of illustrating for educational books and that kind of stuff, but I love her style, and she's illustrating mine for me, and I'm really happy with it. So pick your book up, register for the class. There is a discount for families with 4 or more kids. I know how that is. So check it out. It's on www.crookedhouseherbals.com, and then go to workshops and learning and click that workshop. And you'll have one of 2 choices. There's a drop down menu. You can either go, you know, a person at a time, or if you have 4 or more, then there is that option to choose. So on that note, I will say God bless you. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy your weather, whatever you're having. And I will see you next week. Remember, if you do have questions or concerns that come up during the week and you want me to talk about them next Thursday, please message me with those, or email me at wendy@crookedhouseherbals.com, and I will add that to the roster of things to talk about. All right. Love you guys. Remember, nature heals you best, and I'll see you next week.